Hi everybody. So moment to moment we are experiencing multiple sources of information, both inside ourselves and from the external environment. This video will present a simple model for identifying what is present for us in the moment and the ways that we might start to take small steps to make change. Total behavior is a concept that comes from reality therapy, later became choice theory, first laid out by William Glasser and extended by Robert Woebeldean, as well as countless other brilliant folks who have developed and enhanced this approach to counseling. This video doesn't go in depth about all the different aspects of that type of work, but instead I'm going to highlight a few things that really resonate with me and the clients that I've worked with in practice. To start, we need to address a few axioms, or these underlying truths or assumptions about human beings. The first axiom states that all humans can do is behave. Note, this does not mean behave yourself, but rather it's reference to the presence of something. We're always behaving, we're always doing something. Essentially what this means is that we cannot not do things. We're always doing things. This connects to a lot of different aspects of our life and is a helpful way to think about being in the world because we're always doing. For example, we can't just decide to not feel bad. That's not really behaving because essentially we're talking about the absence of something, the absence of feeling bad. So instead, we have to figure out what we're going to feel instead of bad and then work towards that. Or we can't just decide not to smoke. Again, it's the absence of behaving. So we need to think about what we're going to do instead of smoking. Now this gets into some of the concepts around thinking in the positive. It is a whole way of approaching things that's really fascinating. But for the present moment, it's just important to assume that we're always doing something. We're always behaving. The second axiom that I want to highlight is that all behavior, which we're always doing, is what they term total behavior. So those two axioms in combination, we can only behave and all behavior is total behavior. So we're always doing things and those things are always total behavior. So let's talk about the latter, about total behavior, which is really the focus of this video. Total behavior consists of four interconnected elements: thinking, acting, feeling, and our physiology. At any one moment in our lives, all four elements play a role in the experience that we're having. Again, all we can do is behave, and all behaving is total behavior. All total behavior is comprised of those four components. So we have these four parts. Our thinking is what we think about, and also how we think about it. Acting is what we are doing, or what we are choosing to do in the moment. Feeling is that emotional state that is present for us in the moment. Finally, physiology is our physical body. For example, if we're feeling sleepy or hungry or sick. These four elements of total behavior are the basis for assessing what is going on in the present moment. So let's look at those four parts in an example. I might be thinking I'm worthless, and I might be acting by staying home alone. I might be feeling sad, and physiologically I'm tired and run down. This is essentially what we would think of as being depression, if it goes on for a period of time. However, we have some control over total behavior. Reality therapy suggests that we turn these experiences into verbs because they're essentially things that we are choosing. This highlights that sense of control, that sense of agency in creating this total behavior. Actually, this is another axiom of the approach. Essentially, we are actively choosing to think, choosing to act, choosing to feel, or even choosing our physiology. In the example I was giving before, the physiology of sadness. These are all choices towards sadding ourselves. This sense of choice sets us up to have some influence about what is occurring for us in the present moment. It doesn't dictate the environment necessarily, but rather how we choose to navigate the environment. Maybe even choosing to move into a different environment if that's possible. So just to review what we've talked about so far, we are always behaving. All behavior is total behavior. In other words, thinking, acting, feeling, and physiology. And there's a place for us to insert some of our will into this equation to make some choices. And this is where we start to get into the work of applying and playing with this concept. The metaphor that's most frequently used with total behavior is that of a car. We've got four wheels for the four elements of total behavior. The front two wheels of a car can steer, right? And those back two wheels follow along. Because those front wheels steer, the placement of the metaphorical wheels becomes important, because it's virtually impossible to steer safely with the back wheels. So the front wheels are those things that we can actively steer, and those are thinking and acting. We can choose how we view something, or what we accept as being an accurate reading of a situation. So too, we can alter the actions that we are taking in the moment to do something different. These are the two front wheels, because we can move them, actively exerting influence over our thinking and our acting. Now, when we steer those two front wheels, the two back wheels follow along behind. And those back wheels that follow along are our physiology and our feeling. These parts of total behavior are less receptive to direct intervention. I mean, it's not uncommon to just want to feel differently, or to not want to be tired. However, wanting to not be tired and actually feeling rested are very different things. And yet, if we change our thinking and our acting, the car is steered in a particular direction and our physiology and our feelings follow along behind it. So I can steer the car with acting and taking a nap, right? That's going to make me feel less tired physiologically. Or I can steer the car with my thinking and change my expectations for what is possible when I am tired. This also changes the direction of the car and things shift. Going back to that example of feeling sad, that would be my feeling wheel, so one of those back wheels. That's going to impact my entire car if I'm feeling sad. So I'm feeling sad and I'm thinking, nobody likes me. And right there, I'm driving the car in a particular direction. And all of that is perceived as being an act or a choice within this view of behavior, because I can choose to steer the car in a different direction. So too, I can exert a sense of choice by steering the car with my thinking wheel. I can ask myself, is it true that nobody likes me? I can ask myself, what's the evidence for nobody liking me? I might even find exceptions to this thought that changes my thinking by identifying those people or groups or other environments where I've been liked. My thinking wheel might also be shifted by just focusing my attention, my thoughts, on something that then steers my car in a different direction. I might think about my love for music and how much I enjoy that. Whatever thought it is, I'm exerting a sense of choice, a sense of autonomy over it by steering my thoughts in a particular direction. The thinking changes and the feeling wheel changes as it follows along behind, just by focusing on being cared for others or focusing on things that I enjoy. Or I might choose to steer with my acting wheel. I might reach out to a friend or engage in an enjoyable activity, and this alters the course of the car and pulls my feelings along with it. Just as we are aware of the direction we are headed when driving, we also want to increase our awareness about the direction we're steering with total behavior. It takes some practice. Stopping to notice those different parts of total behavior goes a long way. Sometimes it's a metaphorical flat tire that brings our attention to things, and that's perfectly okay. Just notice which of the tires is flat and then steer your car in a preferred direction. Now, pushing this metaphor a little further, just as a flat tire brings attention to areas where we're having difficulties, so too we can try to prevent flats. When I'm going out on a road trip, I tend to make sure that the car is ready for travel. I'll check to make sure that I don't need an oil change, that there's enough gas, and that the tire pressure is okay. If I'm traveling in bad weather, it's important that I pack items to help ensure safety, like blankets and food, and that my cell phone is fully charged. With total behavior, this might mean checking in with the different parts to see how we're doing before we start our day. Additionally, throughout the day. If we're going through a particularly challenging situation, like a presentation at school or work, a stressful holiday with family, a date with a stranger, we can ensure that our car is ready to roll. For myself, these can be really small things, like I can steer with my acting wheel and pack snacks because I know I'm going to be hungry, or maintaining my exercise routines, or doing fun things before upsetting activities, just to steer my thoughts, steer my behavior into a playful space. It doesn't have to be one big thing that we do, but just lots of little things that add up. Once you start noticing these parts of total behavior, you can start to plan more intentionally for how you're going to steer and what helps your car run smoothly. Because each of us has our own unique car. It's also important to highlight that the car interacts with the road. And we can't always control the road. Right? I live in an area where there's a lot of freeze and thaw that ends up creating potholes everywhere. So I will take a particular road because I know it's smooth. Our society maintains these roads, and we cannot always control where the potholes will emerge and how quickly they're going to get fixed. Now, to move to the metaphorical piece, the road that society has given me to travel as a white male has been mostly smooth. I have some bumps and potholes, even some gravel roads, but I still see that the road that I've been given has been privileged. The roads that each of us have to travel might not be equally smooth. Things like racism, classism, sexism, homophobia, xenophobia, all of these things can impact the smoothness of our roads. I indicate this because I want to make sure that I honor that not everyone travels the same route in their lives, and that it does take a greater sense of vigilance to steer in certain conditions. Even in these difficulties, we still have some agency. We can still steer our car, but society has not tended to everyone's metaphorical road with equal care. To that end, I acknowledge that some people have to spend a lot of time looking for the metaphorical potholes and dangers in the road. This can be taxing and straining on the car. And as a society, I encourage all of us to see this inequity and each work towards changing this, to make the road smoother for all people. It's one direction I hope we can all steer our cars in. However, I share this metaphor of total behavior with you because it can be helpful to consider when going through our day-to-day lives. In what ways are we thinking, acting, feeling, and experiencing physiologically? Notice what's present for us in the moment and assess each of those wheels of total behavior. We can then make adjustments, particularly with our thinking and our acting. In this way, we can steer our car in a preferred direction. It doesn't make the road any easier, but hopefully it helps ensure that we're taking care of ourselves, addressing our needs, and ultimately arriving at our destination safely. And just as a student driver needs to practice to learn how to steer, so too, driving total behavior takes knowledge and practice. Through this, we develop skills to more effectively traverse the roads of our lives. Thanks.